Are you trying to improve your dip count or maybe just trying to get your first one? My name is Andrew Aurora and I help men build athletic physiques through hybrid calisthenics and online fitness coaching. And today I'm going to show you how to go from 0 to 50 plus dips. So whether you're doing a few dips already or you're just trying to get your first one, I'm going to show you today exactly how to level up your dip count step by step. The dip is a fundamental exercise in calisthenics, and building the strength in the dip is going to carry over to harder skills such as the 90-degree handstand push-up, handstand push-ups, and the 90-degree hold. The dip is going to incorporate muscles such as your pecs, your front delts, and your triceps, making it one of the best pushing exercises that you can do when performed correctly. However, when performed incorrectly, this can lead to shoulder discomfort and even shoulder injury. But when you have the right technique, this is one of the best exercises that you can do, especially for calisthenics athletes. And in this video, I'm going to go through each stage of progressions to get you from 0 to 50 plus dips, just like I did in my 0 to 30 plus pull-ups video. In case you haven't seen that, I'll put a link somewhere here in the video for you to go check it out. And with all that out of the way, let's jump right in. So for the first section, we've got the 0 to 5 dip rep range. So if you're starting from scratch and cannot do 5 dips yet, then the first thing that we want to focus on is building a good foundation of strength, which means we need to focus first on building a good base level of pushing strength. This means that you're going to be able to do at least 10 push-ups with perfect form, as well as do some regressions of the dip to be able to get those first 5 dips. And here is a routine that will allow you to do just that. So for this first routine, we have 10 push-ups, 5 dip negatives, and 5 assisted dips. And for this routine, we're gonna have a 30-second rest in between each exercise and a 60-second rest between each set for 3 to 5 sets. For the first exercise, we have the 10 push-ups, and 10 push-ups are pretty straightforward. To perform a proper push-up, just engage your core, keep your elbows tucked close to your sides, not flared out, and lower your chest all the way or nearly all the way to the ground. Push back up until your arms are fully extended and complete 10 reps like this before moving on to the dip negatives. For the next exercise, we have the dip negatives, and this will start to prepare you for the full dip. Performing the negative portion of an exercise you're not yet strong enough to complete can be highly effective in building the strength needed to master it. For dip negatives, begin at the top of the dip position and slowly lower yourself down in a controlled motion. To maintain correct form, lower your body until your arms reach roughly a 90-degree angle or even a bit deeper. Lean forward slightly by bringing your chest in front of your shoulders and extend your legs behind you. This shift helps reduce stress on your shoulders and emphasizes your chest muscles rather than the shoulders and triceps. If you're tall and need to, you can cross your feet, but try to avoid this unless it's absolutely necessary, as it's not ideal form. Perform 5 reps here before progressing to the assisted dips. Now moving on to the assisted dips, these are an excellent way to lighten the load, allowing you to build the strength needed for the full dip. You can perform these using either an assisted dip machine or a resistance band, whichever one is best for you or whichever one you have access to. In terms of form, everything from dip negatives still applies here. Additionally, be mindful not to shrug your shoulders during the movement. Instead, focus on depressing your shoulders to enhance stability. Avoid leaning too far forward while pushing straight up, as this can strain the front of your shoulder. Whether you're using a band or a machine, aim for at least 5 reps per set and perform 3 sets with 30 seconds of rest between exercises and 60 seconds of rest between sets. Once you can complete all 3 exercises for 3 sets, then you should be able to comfortably perform at least 1 to 5 dips. Each time you practice, be sure to start with dips and see how many dips you can perform right at the beginning of your set and track your progress. And be sure to repeat this routine until you can do at least 5 dips with perfect form, and then you'll be ready to move on to the next section of this video. Now moving on, we're going to talk about the 5 to 10 rep range. So taking what we learned from the last section, we're now going to level you up from 5 dips to 10 dips, and this is the routine that we're going to follow. This routine for this section is going to be 5 dips, 5 to 10 assisted dips, 5 dip negatives, max reps push-ups, and 30 seconds of rest between each workout and 60 seconds of rest in between each set for 3 to 5 sets. At this point, you should have mastered 5 dips with perfect form, so we'll start with the 5 dips at the beginning of the routine when you have the most strength and energy. This way we can work from the hardest to the easiest exercises, progressively pushing you to your limits to increase strength. After completing 5 perfect dips, we'll move on to 5 to 10 assisted dips. The goal here is to increase your rep count, aiming for a minimum of 5 assisted dips with a maximum goal of 10. Once you've completed 5 to 10 assisted dips, you'll proceed to do dip negatives. Here we're aiming for just 5 dip negatives. This will allow you to push past fatigue, squeeze out additional reps, and bring you closer to failure, which will increase both your strength and your endurance. After 5 dip negatives, you'll move on to push-ups. For push-ups, you're going to perform as many reps as you can. Doing push-ups right at the end will increase your overall pushing strength and endurance while ensuring you leave nothing left in the tank. Rest for 30 seconds between exercises and 60 seconds between sets, completing a total of 3 sets. Repeat this routine until you can do 10 perfect dips, and once you can achieve 10 dips with solid form, you're ready for the next level. Now, real quick, I wanted to interrupt this video to mention my free guide, the Ultimate Calisthenics Guide. I put this guide together to really help you get started strong on your calisthenics journey, and I put a bunch of lessons I've learned over the years on my fitness journey and on my calisthenics journey into this guide to help you avoid pitfalls and really get the most out of your workouts and see the best results as quickly as possible. If you want to pick this up, you can do so by clicking the link in the description of this video. Now on to the rest of the video. Moving on, we are now on to the 10 to 15 dips rep range, and now this is where things get a little bit more challenging. I'm going to start incorporating some harder exercises and some higher reps to really help you go from that 10 rep range to that 15 rep range. And here's what that routine looks like. 5 explosive dips, 5 to 10 dips, 10 dip negatives, and max reps assisted dips with 30 seconds of rest in between, 60-second rest after each set, and 3 to 5 sets. So we're kicking things off with explosive dips, which is one of the best exercises for building serious pushing strength. This move targets your type 2 muscle fibers through explosive training, helping you develop your strength and explosive power. It's first on the list because it demands the most energy, and you always want to hit your hardest exercises when you're fresh. So what is the goal here? Well, the goal is to push off the bars with enough force that your hands actually lift off the bar. Once you get the hang of these, regular dips will feel effortless. Aim for at least 5 reps, but if you got more in the tank, go for it. Once you hit 5 or more reps, transition to the next exercise, which is regular dips. Now we're dialing it back slightly with standard dips. Your goal here is to hit 10 reps with perfect form, no less than 5. Like I mentioned before, we're working down the difficulty ladder, continuously pushing your strength and endurance limits. So if you can, really push yourself for that full 10 reps. And once you've knocked those out, it's time for dip negatives. For this round, you're aiming for 10 controlled dip negatives, no exceptions. At this stage, you should be able to manage this even if it burns. This is where you start digging deep because fatigue is probably setting in, and I want you to push past your limits. Once you've completed all 10, it's time to move on to assisted dips. Now, instead of max reps of push-ups, we're finishing with max reps of assisted dips. Think of this as a drop set. Your chest and shoulders are already fried from the previous exercises, but by reducing the resistance, you can squeeze out even more work. Go for as many reps as possible before resting for 60 seconds, then repeat this entire circuit for 2 more times. Stick with this routine until you can crank out 15 dips in a row consistently. Once you hit that milestone, you are ready to move on to the next phase. Now moving on to the 15 to 20 rep range, this is where things start to get interesting. The routine for 15 to 20 dips looks like this. Our routine for this section is 10 weighted dips, 10 to 15 regular dips, 10 reps of assisted dips, and 5 dip negatives with 30-second rest in between and 60-second rest after each set for 3 sets. Now, starting with the weighted dips, weighted calisthenics is something we all look forward to, and for good reason. Adding extra weight is when your strength truly levels up, but a solid foundation is key. If you made it to this stage, you've built that foundation, and now it's time to start packing on some weight. But don't rush into using a lot of weight right from the beginning. Jumping straight into heavy loads can do more harm than good, and I recommend starting with around 10 to 15 pounds or whatever weight challenges you within 10 reps. Once you hit that mark, drop the weight and transition into regular dips. Next up, you'll be hitting 10 to 15 body weight dips. Since your chest is already pre-exhausted from the weighted dips, this will feel pretty tough, but that's exactly what we want. Push through the burn and aim for the higher end of the rep range if you can, and once you knock those out, it's time for assisted dips. Now, we're keeping the intensity high with 10 reps of assisted dips. By this point, fatigue should be setting in, but this is where the real gains happen. Fight through it and crank out all 10 reps to keep building strength and endurance, and as soon as you're done, move straight into dip negatives. To finish strong, you'll do 5 slow, controlled dip negatives, and this is where you're gonna push yourself to the absolute limit. Once you grind through those reps, take a well-earned 60-second rest, then repeat this entire circuit for 2 more sets. Keep following this progression until you hit 20 unbroken dips in a row. Once you reach that milestone, you're ready to move on to the next level. Now we're moving on to the 20 to 30 rep range for dips, and with this section, we're not really changing a whole lot from the last section aside from adding a tougher variation of the dip, and this routine for this section looks like this. 10 to 15 weighted dips, 5 to 10 reps of explosive dip negatives, 5 regular dips, and max reps of assisted dips with a 30-second rest between each exercise and 60 seconds of rest between each set for 3 sets. So just like in the last section, you're kicking things off with the weighted dips, aiming for 10 to 15 reps per set. We're starting with these because this is when you're at your strongest and you want to make the most of that power. Once you hit at least 10 reps, it's time to move on to the next exercise. Now, in this routine, I'm introducing a new challenge, explosive dip negatives. This variation is not easy. It's a hybrid of explosive dips and dip negatives, combining power, control, and endurance into one challenging movement. Expect these to wear you out fast, but that's exactly why they're so effective. Your goal is 10 reps with no less than 5, and once you grind through these, move straight into dips. For this round, you're aiming for 15 unbroken dips, and by now, fatigue is probably creeping in, but this is where the real progress is gonna happen. Keep pushing your limits because this is how you're going to build to that next level of strength. Once you power through all 15 reps, it is time for assisted dips. Now, to wrap up this routine, you'll go all out with the max reps of assisted dips. We've worked our way down from the toughest exercise to the easiest so you can push beyond the point where you thought you had nothing left. Once you hit failure, rest for 60 seconds, then repeat the entire circuit. Stay consistent with this routine, and once you can crank out 30 dips in a row, you'll be ready to level up to the next section. Now we're moving on to the 30 to 40 dips rep range, and this is where things start to get a bit more challenging. So before this, we were more focused on building your foundation and building your strength, and now we're focused on pushing you to new limits so that way you can do more dips. And the routine for this section looks like this: 15 to 20 reps of weighted dips, max reps of explosive dips, max reps of regular dips, and max reps of dip negatives with a 45-second rest in between each exercise and a 90-second rest between each set for 3 sets. We're starting off strong with weighted dips, so choose a weight that challenges you in the 15 to 20 rep range. As you progress and your reps increase, you have 2 options. Either keep building endurance by increasing your reps with the same weight, or up the weight to bring your rep range down and focus more on strength. Since your primary goal here is endurance, I recommend sticking with a slightly lighter weight and a higher rep range. However, if strength is your priority, increasing the weight and working in a lower rep range would be the better move. Once you crank out your 15 to 20 reps, it's time for explosive dips. Now we're shifting gears into max rep territory. Explosive dips are all about boosting your strength and force output, making them one of the tougher exercises in this routine. That's why they're placed second, while you're still relatively fresh but already warmed up. Give it everything you've got, pushing for as many reps as possible, and once you hit failure, move on to regular dips. Next, you're gonna go for max reps of regular dips. By now, you should be getting pretty fatigued, but this is where you push past what you think you can do and keep going. The goal here is simple: go all out. Once you hit failure, transition into dip negatives. Now, to finish strong, you'll burn out with dip negatives. At this stage, your muscles should be close to exhaustion, and this movement will help you squeeze out the very last bit of strength left in the tank. Push for max reps, then take a well-earned 90-second rest before repeating the circuit. Since the routine is getting more intense, longer rest is necessary to maintain performance. Stick with this routine until you can knock out 40 dips in a row, and once you hit that milestone, you're ready for the next challenge. Now we're moving on to the 40 to 50 dips rep range, and this is really going to require you to push yourself. We're not changing a whole lot from the last section aside from a couple tweaks, and the routine for this section looks like this: 30 reps of weighted dips, max reps of explosive dip negatives, max reps of dips, max reps of dip negatives, max reps of assisted dips, and a 60-second rest in between each workout with a 90-second rest after each set for 3 sets. Just like before, we're kicking things off with the weighted dips, but this time the goal is 30 reps. Choose a weight that challenges you within that range, and it's okay if you don't hit failure exactly at 30 reps, but make sure you're pushing yourself with a weight that makes every rep count. Once you complete your 30 reps, it's time for explosive dip negatives. Now we're going all out with these max reps of explosive dip negatives. After those 30 weighted reps, these are going to feel brutal, but that's exactly why you're getting more rest of 60 seconds. Dig deep, push to your limit, and once you hit failure, move straight into regular dips. Now we keep that momentum going with the max reps of regular dips. At this stage, fatigue will try to slow you down, but do not let it. This is where you push through and prove to yourself that you've got more in the tank. Once you grind out your max reps, it's time for dip negatives. Just like before, this is about pushing yourself closer and closer to failure to build both muscle and strength. Give it everything you've got and move into the final challenge, which is assisted dips. Now this is where you step things up from the 30 to 40 rep range to the 40 to 50 rep range by adding assisted dips at the end. Go for max reps, squeezing out every last bit of energy you have left. Once you hit failure, take a well-earned 90-second rest, then repeat the circuit as many times as possible, aiming for at least 3 sets. Stick with this routine until you can crank out 50 dips in a row. And moving on to the last section, we've got the 50+ dips rep range. And for me personally, the most I've ever been able to achieve in a row was 51. So I'm probably not the most qualified person to tell you how to go past 50, but just keep pushing yourself, keep challenging yourself, and you will achieve new levels of strength. Don't stop at this video. Continue to explore new exercises and new routines to really unlock that next level and even go past 50 dips. So that's the video, guys. I hope that you enjoyed it. Be sure to hit that like button if you did, and hit that subscribe button and that notifications bell so that way you never miss a video, as I put out a video every single week to help you level up on your calisthenics and fitness journey. And before I go, don't forget to pick up that Ultimate Calisthenics Guide, as this will help you on your fitness journey. I'll see you guys next time. Peace out.